Hi, beautiful souls, welcome. If you have clicked on this video, most likely there's a desire to free yourself. There's a desire to experience freedom and a desire to forgive. And most likely you struggle with it. You know all the spiritual codes, you know the relevance of forgiveness. You realize and recognize the miracle behind the F word. And so that's why you're here. I don't have to tell you why you should forgive, what will happen if you forgive. It's good to forgive. So we're not going to talk about that. What we're going to talk about in this video is how to make it simpler and easier. Because when we start applying these spiritual principles in our life, it can be really hard and difficult. Because we think forgiveness, and I feel a lot of us feel that forgiveness is about the other person. It's about the other situation. It's about something outside of us. And we're doing a favor to them. But no, in all ways, you're doing a favor to yourself. You're freeing yourself. You're allowing yourself that peace. So, for 100%, it's for you. Because you have realized that I would rather forgive and release myself than carry this burden and punish myself just so that my ego can win. My ego of like, I'm right. I would rather be right than be happy, than be free, than be lighter, than be peaceful. And when this occurs, it means you've already been through stage 1 of experiencing the death of your ego. So congratulations. And now when you're here, I really want to share this, that when we recognize that what goes around comes around, as we shall sow, so shall we reap. It's so uncomfortable at first, but it's so relieving in the next moment. When you realize that you don't have to blame anything or anyone outside of you, because that's the shadow that we are collectively experiencing right now of victimization. We feel that we are protected when we are victimizing ourselves. It feels good to have something outside of us to blame for all our difficult emotions and feelings and pain, but it's actually causing more suffering. And when we free ourselves from this blame cycle, we don't just release the situation, the person involved, the people involved maybe, but we free ourselves. And that's the highest frequency of Gene Key 55 also, freedom. And this is what you're actually seeking. You're seeking freedom. The thing is that you feel that if you don't, that you will get freedom if you get something outside of you, but actually you'll gain freedom the moment you release and forgive and get out of this victimization. And it's hard, I understand. I have the conscious sun in 55, so I'm a Pisces sun. So much of my life has circled around victimization. I hate it. But that's where life brings me over and over and over again to take responsibility. That's what my entire membership is about. Taking responsibility to heal yourselves rather than putting the blame on the other person, other people, other things, other situations, your past, your future, whatever. The society. We can't control anything outside of us except this thing right here. So we start from here. And so when we take this responsibility, we are more open-minded to understand and to see. Why did I say what goes around comes around? I said this Because if you start tracing, whatever has occurred into your life, you just say, okay, where's this pain coming from? Because this person did this. Okay, what is beneath this blame? Anger. What is beneath this shame? Pain. So there's pain here and there's pain here. Okay. Uh, and if you trace it back, you'd find it, oh, it's coming from your childhood. If you trace it further back, you'll find it's coming from your ancestry. If you trace it further back, you will find it that it's coming from probably past lifetimes. Is there any, maybe, if you can just go on tracing back, and who knows, you were actually the person who inflicted the pain in the first place. And this is your reincarnation, if you believe in that. I mean, that would be creepy, right? To just be like, okay, whatever I'm experiencing right now is a consequence of what I might have given out in the world. This lifetime, previous lifetime, sometime when in the beginning of the ages. Who knows? But it is the law of karma, the law of cause and effect. What you give out, you get back in return. And there can be this polarity experience of blaming the other person, and then when you realize this, you want to blame yourself. But this is what happens. This is the separation. When we feel the separation between this person and ourselves, and when we realize, oh, but what if, like in the past lifetime, maybe I was this person who inflicted this pain to them, and then okay, even before that they did, and we've been just continuing the cycle. And then how are we gonna ever stop it? Only if one person decides to break it. And how do we break it? By forgiving and releasing, by not doing tit for tat, by not holding on to that resentment. And sometimes we can also be in a space where we're like, oh, you are not doing anything in physical, but you're energetically in the blame, in the shadow, in the anger, in the resentment. And that is also working. You are energetically sending out negative vibration to the other, to the situation in itself, to the dynamic in itself. And you're still piling on and continuing that karmic cycle. To break out of the cycle, there's only one way, actually, and that is forgiveness. The moment you realize, oh my God, I am you and you are me. And this applies to so many situations. I gave you this example of past lifetimes so that you could understand it better. I gave you this example of ancestry so that you could understand it better. But the essence of all of this is, I am me and you are me. And when that happens, whoa, you can have compassion. You can have empathy. You might even remember the time when you did something, what they are doing to you right now. You may not. You might remember a past lifetime, or you may not. You may just live with this higher understanding that it would be true. That the universe never messes up. That you are not a victim who is suffering, or who is the only one who is suffering. There is no enemy outside. We can be our worst enemies, And when all of these things start happening, you don't even have to try so much for forgiveness. You don't even have to actually do a lot to forgive. You just understand, and you're like, oh, cool, makes sense. I'm sorry. I forgive you. Let's start fresh. Let's move on. Let's release this karmic baggage that has been weighing us down. And there is so much relief in the end. There is so much freedom in the end. So experiment. Don't take my word for it. Experiment. Take a situation at hand that you have where you find yourself stuck, resentful, or maybe it's just so difficult to forgive and not blame. And experiment with the situation. See how it would feel like to say, I'm willing to forgive you. Please forgive me for what I might have done before this, at any given point, timeline, lifetime. And it's such a beautiful way to cancel out and dilute the karma. When just one person decides to put down the sword, because trust me on it, like you might feel that there is attack coming from the outside and that's why you're holding the sword and you're protecting yourself. We all are actually protecting ourselves and defending ourselves. And we are also getting hurt the most. So how about you put down the sword first? And energetically, physically, however you want to do it, okay? It's all okay. And you really give space for the past to dilute, to dissolve, for it to teach you what you needed to teach. Because I really feel like we all, if you're watching this, we are all here right now at this crux of time to learn the lessons of getting out of the shadow of victimization to freedom, because that's where the mutation is occurring in the 55 gate gene key. And when you, so how can you step out of that victimization? Forgiveness is a beautiful way. Freedom. Choosing your freedom over being a victim, being powerless. What does it give us? A very false sense of power. But when we step out of it, there's so much freedom. Contemplate on these words today. What goes around comes around. And find that compassion and that empathy, because every act has a consequence. So every consequence is happening because of an act in the universe, right? So today, if you send out a higher vibration of forgiveness, love, compassion, empathy, it will return back to you in any way, shape, or form. Right? Like the universal laws are neutral. We have a tendency to say good or bad, or see God as good. But I remember watching an episode of Mahabharata once, and they said, and Krishna said, even I'm bound by the laws of the universe. We have so many stories, actually, if you ever look back, where even gods were punished for a bad karma. And it's not about punishment, actually. It's just about an effect. And when you realize, you break, it's like you break the spell. When you forgive, you realize, you become conscious, you become aware, and you're like, oh, makes sense. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm not, because if you're gonna continue keep on blaming, you're just like piling on that cycle over and over and over again. You're just continuing to make it more heavy and more dense, and it's just gonna get prolonged, and it's gonna be more difficult to detangle out of it, because you can, run away, you can like get out of the situation, but you're energetically bound, which can be very hurtful and painful. Still, doesn't matter if you're connected in the physical or not, but this will never be at peace. And so we're doing all of this for this here, because we deserve peace, we deserve freedom, we deserve happiness. And so I know there could be a lot of shadow, there could be a lot of convincing from the mind, be like, oh, don't do this, don't waste your time on this, it doesn't deserve it, oh, it was so painful, why do you have to? Oh, well, it's causing me pain, so I have to look at it. And if this forgiveness can bring me the relief, so bring it on, man. I'm sending you so much love. I really hope these words go deep in your consciousness and cause the ripple effect that they need to. Journal it out. There's a beautiful, this is kind of like a summing up of a lot of different teachings, but there's a beautiful practice that I have been practicing a lot, and I feel like it's really helping. It's like, and I think I even mentioned it like 2 minutes ago, but like 3 steps, 4 steps. The first one being, please forgive me for all that I might have done to you, that I may or may not be aware of it. Step 2, I forgive you for all that you are doing right now, that you have done in the past. Step 3, this is from B.K. Shivani, and I absolutely feel like she's doing an incredible work out there, and it's just so beautiful. So the third one is, let's start a new karmic account. And the fourth one, you end it with sending good prayers or good, positive, high vibrational energy to the other person, to the situation, to the dynamic, to whatever it is. You can send a pink light, in my opinion. This is my personal thing. You can send it in the form of energy. You can send it in the form of light. You can send it in the form of words. Anyway, in your meditation, in your prayer, do it for a couple of days. See what happens. See what does it reveal. Journal it out, maybe whatever it starts showing you. And it can be uncomfortable, but at the end, it can be really relieving. Maybe exactly what you need. So I really hope you practice this and share it with somebody who might need it. If you want to experience more of these resources, healing, join the membership. We have so many workshops, guides to take you through this journey. A lot of body practices to heal, to come back to yourself. So it's a beautiful self-care, self-development, self-awareness space. I'll be dropping down the links down below. And I'm sending you so much love, compassion, and I'm really celebrating you for being here and doing this, because if you're here watching this video, and really, even on the first, having this willingness and this desire to forgive, it's a magic word, but it's an intense, loaded, charged word. I understand if this does not sit well with you, or with someone you share it with and they're like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. It's okay. We are all on different paths, and are all in different space. It's kind of like a journey of the soul, and you cannot rush the awakening. You cannot rush the process. You cannot wake somebody before they're meant to, or you cannot you cannot like force someone to get there before the time is on. So it's okay. There are lifetimes to do this. But if you're here, and if you're willing to free yourself in this lifetime, in this way, in some way, in shape and form, in this moment actually, you can try this. Okay? I'm sending you love, and I'll see you again soon.